The Waterworks Museum Hereford is independently financed and wholly run by volunteers. The vision is to create a museum that's shared with visitors working engines. So we have a range of steam, water, gas, engines that are very often the last remaining ones of their kind. So when I became chair, I was acutely aware that we were due for re-accreditation. Re-accreditation because we'd been last accredited in 2014. Accreditation is really important, and I think it's at the heart of good governance because it's a quality mark. So we wanted it for confidence, we wanted it for raising our funding and investment, we wanted it to say that we were a good, well-run museum. You know there is a lot of paperwork and it's all online, and so we needed the support of the museum development team. They were brilliant. I had one-to-one surgery at the start. I then booked myself onto a Couch for Accreditation training session. That was superb. It was a whole day looking at the standards and working through questions, and it really set myself up. And then when we finally put the documentation on the online Grantium, we could ask some questions and deal with any issues we had, and that was brilliant. So they really supported us all the way through the process and were really, really responsive and quick.
Well, when I first heard about accreditation, it seemed like a mammoth task, but my role really was to support Jill, our chair, collating documentation, making sure that we're reviewing and looking at all of the paperwork that we needed, and making sort of preparations to actually go online with the granting system. And in terms of actually the museum development, we actually use their website quite a lot to actually just refer to see what we should and shouldn't be doing, and it helped guide us.
I read through the accreditation requirements, and then I saw that it said that you had to be able to make your collection accessible to people. So I really looked at how we were going to do that digitally. We formed a digital work group, and the major piece was to take the archive information and all the information about the collection, which was in a very large Microsoft Word document. And the aim was to then turn that into something that was accessible through the internet so people could actually see what we've got. So it's now effectively making it much more of an available catalogue for people and a major part of the accreditation. So I'm really thrilled.
So as part of the accreditation process, we really needed to get our house in order in terms of inward and outward items on loan. There was a real opportunity to look at, well, is there a way we can actually get those transferred to the museum? And that was just a great benefit to the museum here and cherry on the top of the cake with respect to accreditation.
My top tips for any museum going for accreditation is firstly, get yourself a team for each of the three aspects of the accreditation. The second thing is getting your deadline sorted. Work backwards from the date that you have to close Grantium. You need to be selective with your documentation because there's only so many attachments you can put onto Grantium. And finally, really, I think it's about communicating what you're doing to everybody. So that's the benefactors, the trustees and the volunteers, because you're asking people to do things for you. You're keeping your funding streams happy because they know what you're applying for. And I think everybody then understands what accreditation means to the whole of the museum.
Welsh Water is a benefactor for the museum here in Hereford, and it's a great achievement for the accreditation to be awarded, and from my perspective, it really gives volunteers trust, and also it helps promote further funding opportunities, collaboration work and development for volunteers as well.
For the museum, I definitely think it's a really good status symbol to have. I think it's actually helpful for us financially in terms of being able to go for funding applications. But I also think for the volunteers, I think it's really important. It's nice to know that there's a set of standards there that we can actually keep referring to ensure that we're actually improving the museum as we go forward.
What accreditation means to me personally is an absolute sense of pride for the team that have made this happen, for all the volunteers, that we are actually doing things well, that we are proven to be doing things well, and I'm really, really delighted for the museum.